Hello there. This is an old Norton medium India stone. I just reconditioned this in my oil stone conditioning video. I'm going to take it out of this box. I bought it for I think it was $8 at a local flea market. The stone, there was an elderly lady there and she was selling it. Her husband had passed away and he had owned this stone. And hold on a minute. And he had done what a lot of the old fellas used to do, and some of them still do, because it's what they know and what they are used to doing. It's worked for them the rest of all of their lives, so they don't really care to change. But he had sunk this stone into a big bucket of used motor oil, and it was black as coal. It was blacker than the black on this stone holder. It was black. But it was in this box, and I knew it was worth something, or they wouldn't have made a box for it. So anyway, I bought the stone for like $8, took it home and cleaned it up. And I'm going to use it as a bevel setter, or a, what would it be called? As a course, as my course for this sharpening session. This is a Rough Rider 106 Whittler. It has three blades, two what people call a clip point blade, a large and a small for the size of the knife, and a little pin blade. We're going to sharpen up the main blade of this knife, starting with this stone. We're going to do something a bit different with this sharpening session. And I conditioned this stone with a blend of 60 to 90 grit. It's how the grit came to me. A friend gave it to me, and that was the lovely. I already get a burr at the tip. That was what he had. I didn't have anything coarse enough to really do any good with it, so he loaned it to me. He sent me some of it, a small little container of it, enough to do what I need to do. I actually prefer to finish one of these mediums out at about half that grit, to be honest. And what I'm doing, I'm using a little bit of pressure here and easing up, because I want to get right to there. That's what I want to do. Lovely. I need something to wipe the blade with. That's lovely. Now what I've done, okay, now I'm lightening up pressure. I've got a burr here, and I've got a burr here, and I want to join them in the center, but I wanted to make sure that I got that, because a lot of people do not use that part of the knife. I use it all the time. So I want that to have a burr. I want it sharp. A lot of people will sharpen a knife and they'll go, well, that's not really that important, so I'm going to leave it. And that's your choice. I'm not knocking anybody. So before anybody runs off telling their favorite knife guy, that might have said that I knocked them, understand that that's not so. But for me, I want that blade sharp everywhere as much as I can. But there are times, like if this has got a beautiful bevel, by the way, but a lot of times the bevel will be uneven. And instead of removing a boatload of blade material in one sharpening, you might leave a section go and get it in subsequent sharpenings, just to kind of keep things sort of even as far as wear is concerned, things like that. So understand, when I say something like what I just said about wanting that whole blade, okay, there are always caveats. There are always situations where there'll be exceptions to pretty much any rule that you ever come across. That's the fact of it. Yeah. Lovely. Just checking a burr. But I like this. A medium India is a fantastic stone. I use this stone that's beautiful. Many a time for chisels, plain blades, that kind of deal in woodworking. It was and is sort of a staple for that, for me. It's a fantastic stone for that, to put put the first kind of burr that will go on a chisel or a plain blade before you move to finer stones. That's what I'm talking about right there. One of these is ideal. And it quickly brings up a burr on most simple steels. Carbon steel, 440 stainless, those kinds of things. The kind of steel that I use, pretty much vanadium type steels. And the reason I say vanadium type is because there's a lot of tools out there that are made, they'll say chrome vanadium, and you never flipping know what that is. You'd never know what that steel is. The only thing you can do with it is sharpen it and see if it holds an edge. Most of it will, but it's a designation that used to mean something many years ago, and now doesn't mean jack. And I'm sharpening the wrong side of the knife, and I need to come back and and work on this side. But that's what happens when I get to flapping my jaws. This will be a cool little carry knife. I know everybody wants like a big 5-inch blade in their pocket nowadays. That kind of thing. I really, really like just a small, simple pocket. Now, for the majority of the kind of things that you will do, unless you have a job or a hobby specific to a certain type of knife, the majority of things you're going to need a knife to do, a blade like that will do it just fine. It just will. And I have a burr on the other side. So what I'm going to do now is and you see this, I'm constantly cleaning my stone pretty much all the time, because I don't want it loading up and not cutting. We're going to remove the burr. We're going to use light pressure and alternating strokes and maintain the proper angle on this blade until we have completely removed the burr from the edge. If you use heavy pressure doing this, what will happen is you'll just keep creating a burr, and you'll never get the son of a gun off of it. So now I need to check, see what kind of burr. Yeah, I have. Still have a bit on this side. So I'm going to lighten up the pressure even more. Because what you're actually doing is you're bending that burr back and forth along the edge. Okay, just like if you were to take a wire coat hanger and do that till it got really hot and broke in half, that's what you're doing to this burr, is you are bouncing it back and forth, and that is stubborn. There's no burr anywhere else but right here, from about right there down, and it's being stubborn. But that's what you're doing. You're moving it back and forth. Until it breaks off. And that burr is still on there, so it's not rolling over the other side of the knife for some reason. So this stone has created a huge honking burr. So I want to work that area. Yeah, see, that bird doesn't want, there we go, it flipped. I pushed it over with my hand. That'll be alright. That will work just fine. As long as I get it moving. You have to be careful with that. I could easily have cut myself fairly good on that burr. When it pushed over to the other side, it just did that. There wasn't any. That's lovely. Yep. Burr's gone. Knife is sharpening, or not sharpening. The knife is shaving. I am not talking really well tonight. I know I'm kind of slow. My allergies are really slamming me hard, and my head is stuffed up, and I'm kind of sleepy, that kind of deal. So you have to forgive me. But I want to move to a different stone, and it's not the one that you think. Let me wipe the Norton down. I'm going to move to this stone. Now what this is, this is, for all that I can determine, I have tried to research it and over again and come up with nothing. But it's my opinion and the opinion of a couple of people that I trust, and I don't need that because it won't lock down anyway. But the rubber will keep it from moving. But this is what I believe to be a piece of what I would call, and another friend whom I consulted on this would call, a piece of self-mined slate. Stand by for a second. Alright, I'm back. It was common, and it has been common, now I'm back to straight water, and has always kind of been common in the United States, that in areas where there were stones types of stones that were well known, this is a 1200 mesh 9-micron diamond card, where there were stones known to be used to sharpen, that people would just go out into the hills. I'm raising a slurry on this stone. They would just go out into the hills and cut their own. And that's what this is. Now this stone it puts a fine edge on a tool or knife. It's not as fine as an Arkansas stone, but very fine. Close to what a black Arkansas would that's prepped for knives. I have successfully used this to hone straight razors, but it took me a very long time to crack the code. In other words, to figure out how to finish on this stone to a razor quality, which is not the same as a knife. Nowhere near. Knife is nowhere near. Even the bevel of a knife, the edge geometry of a knife precludes it from being anywhere near as sharp as you can get a straight razor, and the thickness and all of that. And you would feel that in the comfort or discomfort of on your face when you're shaving. But this knife has a quality of also being slightly abrasive in a way that most finishing stones are not. And so I can come off of something like that medium India with this stone. And you see I've got a fairly thick slurry here. Well, the abrasive qualities of this stone and the slurry will help me quickly remove the scratch pattern from that medium India very quickly and put a nice, you can already see it. I don't know, let me see if I can put a nice polish. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to thin that way out. This stone is pretty fast as well. And I'm doing this because the thing of it is there are all kinds of stones out there. And one of the things that's so fun for me is picking up a stone that I really don't know much about and pushing that stone to its limits until I figure out exactly what it's capable of doing and what it's best at. Now, I mentioned before that I've gotten fantastic shaving edges off of this stone, but oh yeah, sorry, I'm cutting hair. But honestly, this stone works a whole lot better as a finisher for knives, chisels, plane blades, that kind of thing, than it does for a straight razor. But it puts a very beautiful edge on a knife. Now I'm gonna wipe that off, and I'm gonna go to soapy water just because that's what I grabbed. But what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of the slurry, and I'm gonna put a little bit more polish on this. And like I said, I'm doing this video and using this stone in particular. Well, I wanted to use my medium India because I hadn't used it in a while because it needed reconditioning, and I had other stones, so I wasn't too worried about it. And I haven't been doing a lot of woodworking lately because I need money for materials and I don't have it, and you know, winter's coming and I got a lot of crap that has to be done to my home before winter, so I don't have the time. But what I really want to do is kind of encourage you, once you understand and grow to where you're getting good edges all the time, and you understand how to refine an edge and how to use the stones that you have. Look around at flea markets. Look everywhere. Pick up stones that you don't know anything about, particularly natural stones, and try them out. And you will run across a lot of duds. But you will find stones that will surprise you, and you will learn a lot. And so that's a lovely edge. So that's the video. He's shaving hair off the back of my hand and the back of my arm like a scalded ape. So that's lovely. Rough Rider 106, medium India, and self-mined slate stone. Bless you. Later.